Hello lovelies! Welcome back to my channel. Last week we finished up the tiered skirt for Ariel's Ballgown, and this week we are going to digitize this lace embroidery and stitch it out and kind of go through the sample process and the process of me doing the embroidery. Just a few things before I get started. First, I am using the software Floriani Total Control U embroidery digitizing software, and I can do the best at answering any questions about other software. However, I've never used any other software, so if I can't answer your question, I will do my best to help find a solution for you if you do have digitizing questions. Otherwise, as per usual, I will list all of the materials I'm using down below. I'll talk about them a little bit when I get to them in the video too. And finally, if you would like the full hour-and-a-half session of me actually digitizing this step by step, I do have that live stream available on my Patreon. So if you would like to both support the channel and get the full live event, it is available on patreon.com/CaseyReneeCosplay. I will also be doing another live digitizing event at the end of August. The last Sunday of August, I will be doing one. So if you are interested in that, you can sign up for my Patreon. Otherwise, let's get started. What I'm going to start by doing is basically creating the artwork that is going to eventually turn into the stitch work or the stitch lines. So I guess the best way to describe this is I am treating my first set of tasks like Illustrator, where I would be basically drawing on top of this, trying to copy it as much as I can. Luckily, this has a shape feature, so I'm going to try to get some of these circular images or pieces done with the circle feature. And basically, I think what my first thing that I'm going to try to do is create this bottom V line of circles. So what I want to do is create this bottom line, and then I'm going to, in the middle of that, create a star that kind of looks like a starfish, and then fill that area in with the rest of the little circle lacy bits. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to find the best one of these that looks as straight on as possible, which is kind of looking like this one right here. They are still at an angle, but we're going to try to visualize this as if it was straight on, because we stitch out embroidery looking at it straight on, and then it gets manipulated when it gets added to the bodice like it does here. So that is our goal, is to build this looking at it as a straight on figure. And then I'm going to be going to this red button up here, which is the select one, quite a bit to do some copy paste. So copying and pasting things is kind of, if you're looking for a way to make it perfectly perfect, basically, it's the best way, every circle to be the same. It's kind of the best way to go about it. So basically, what I decided to do was create a V shape in the width and height that I would like this whole design to stitch out in. Then I created a circle shape at the bottom of it, and once that circle was the size and shape I wanted it to be, I copied and pasted it over and over again onto my design, and I would play a little bit with the shape and the angle in which each circle would be placed. You hit a certain, so there's, I think it's this one. Yeah, so if you hit that, you can actually take and maneuver the stitch so it can look like that. So if I wanted these to be a little bit different in shape, I can, but I do not. So we're gonna undo those and come back up here. At least I don't want to yet. Once we start actually getting a lot more down, I will refine this by making sure things connect, making sure that if I do want a little bit of how some of these, if you look see, they're more circular, more of a circle than an oval, things like that. But for now, I just kind of want to get this all placed and then I can start tweaking and playing. I'm gonna look in this shape wizard here to see if there is a star that I can manipulate. Let's go with this star. And I'm just gonna take it right here and make it a bunch smaller. We can zoom in. And even smaller. And it is going to end up being a fill, so it's kind of okay that it is filled in right now. A fill, or like a fill stitch, is basically like these stitches down here. It will fill in. Actually, I'm probably going to do a satin stitch, to be honest, depending on how skinny I make this. We'll figure that out though here. Now, using the shape tool, which helps edit outlines, inclinations, and the start/stop point of a stitch on a design, I'm gonna play around with this star until it looks kind of like a starfish. This obviously is not in the original design of the lace, but I think this will be a pretty touch to make it more Ariel and less like historical. Then I can just continue to fill in my design with these circular figures and modify them as I fill them in. And this is basically what I do for a good 45 minutes to an hour, is just place, shape, size, fill it in until the V starts to really like fill out and look like how I want it. Kind of looks like a starfish caught in a net, which is kind of a cool concept. Like it goes with this aquatic, like Little Mermaid Ariel thing. So something that I want to do real quick is we're gonna lock this and this and this. Again, these are a lot like when you work on like Photoshop or Illustrator or like those kinds of things where you can lock things in place. So I want to try to see what this looks like as a satin stitch. Okay, so this is the basic of stitch, like making the stitch now. Basically I took the star and I just wanted to see what it would look like as a fill, and this is the standard. You can also add a bunch of motifs. This is like gonna be the fastest crash course ever. I'm not going to do any of these motifs, but I am going to go back to the standard and hit apply, and then I'm going to zoom in on it and see that there's just a little bit right here where you can kind of see through it. So we're just going to make the density a 0.4 and hit apply, and there it is. It's all cleaned up. Oh, look, that looks beautiful. Wow, I really like that. All right, so let's talk about this for a second. Basically, I have all of my line work, and this is actually the color of thread that I've chosen that I want to be playing with, so I do apologize if it's a bit faint, but when I turn my image off, you can't even see it, so we're going to have it on just for a hot second, just while I turn this into a stitch. So I've locked my star because we like the star. This is actually the width and length that I want to stitch this out at, so that's pretty great. We're not going to move it. We're here, we've selected all three of these pieces. So I'm coming down here to my steel stitch. I'm going to right click it, and then there's this lovely option that says white work lace embellishment, and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to give it a second to think. Okay, so now it basically turned all of these into stitches for doing like white work lace, which is basically what we're doing. That's essentially what we're doing. But this is really wide. Like this is gonna look really clunky. So I want to start by dropping this down to 1 millimeter, and I'm gonna just hit apply. That looks so much better. So something to note is I want to make sure that all of these stitches not only overlap each other, so like everywhere you see them, they are overlapping. Sorry, I just zoomed in way too much. So they are overlapping absolutely everywhere, but also they're overlapping on the star. Now I am planning to stitch this out on embroidery on tulle. Oh, you know what I just noticed? This bottom piece right here is missing. At this point, I decided to pick a few of the circles to be fill stitches to get filled in with thread like the lace on the bodice example. I do the fill exactly like I did the fill for the starfish, so I start by actually picking the circle, I turn it into a fill stitch, and then I go into the properties and I adjust the density of the stitch based on how and where it hits the surfaces around it. So now the next part is really tricky. So we're basically going to, we've locked all of these, and we're gonna unlock them all really, really quick. We're gonna select all of them. We're going to group them. We're going to copy and paste, and then we're gonna just move it over here real quick. This one right here, this first one, we're gonna once again get in control of that, and we are going to lock it because we do not, we don't want to lose any of that information. Once I have decided that this is my design, I'm going to hide my background, which has the blouse image on it, and then I'm going to bring up the hoop size that I plan to use. And then I'm going to lock the group and lock the design in place. Now I can copy and paste the design to make it repeat. Then I can overlap the design the way I want it to stitch out. The last task in this is really to basically unlock all of the design elements and go through each individual circle and delete the circles that are going to in the right top corner so that my machine isn't stitching out this area twice. Instead, it's going to stitch out the second design so that it links with the first design. At some point, I start to go through the design and just kind of click through each step to see kind of the order in which it's going to stitch out, so I basically can see how it stitches out. I can also play a stitch through via the tab at the top that allows you to literally like watch it stitch out. And then once it's done, I'm gonna take it over to my embroidery machine and stitch it out to see what it looks like. I'm going to use Embellish Sticky Rinse Away Mesh as my stabilizer. This stuff is super neat. I basically hoop it like I would fabric and stabilizer, then I can score it with a pin so that I can peel the wax paper up and reveal the sticky stabilizer. From there, I just lay the tool onto the stabilizer and make sure that it sticks, and now I can bring it to my machine for a test run. I sample stitched it out with 2 different colors of purple thread, and I decided in the end it would look better in white to match the white lace that is on the skirts. Stitching out each of these designs took 70 minutes, and then it took about 7 designs to create the length of lace that I needed. So there was well over 8 hours of stitching for just this one design, and then as you saw in the previous photo, I created a second shorter lace trim based off of the image as well, and that one took another 8 to 10 hours to stitch out everything for that because I did use it on the sleeves as well. All right, so I've already stitched out one piece of this trim. You can kind of see it here. I kind of had an issue. I'm sorry if you can hear my washing machine in the background. I'll do the best to edit that out. But anyway, I had not an issue. I thought of something way too after the fact. It would have probably been smarter for me to start this design like all the way to the left of my fabric. If you can see, my fabric goes all the way around here. I have this like double wide tool that I'm using, which is great because it means I can get these as long as I want and only cut the width and not the length. But anyway, so I should have started all the way left so that I could basically connect the end over here. I didn't do that. And so what I did instead, we're going to have this issue, aren't we, with the lighting. Okay, so this is the place that it needs to hook at, which is basically this last little ball here. I used my lovely thing, placed this down when the embroidery was on it, and took a picture. And then I placed this back on my hoop once I placed my paper down, and marked it with a water-soluble marker on the back. I'm going to try to do this again for camera to show you all, but I might forget because I'm also working on other things while like my machine is going. I'll do the best I can to remember though. So here's to hoping it actually works out. Thank you so much for joining me while I recreate lace. Next week, I will be finally sewing up the bodice for this 1850s Ariel Ballgown. But if you simply cannot wait until next Sunday, I have the video live right now over on my patreon.com/CaseyReneeCosplay. That is my members only website where you can support the channel and get exclusives like early access to videos, monthly live streams, digital patterns, embroidery files, and access to the Discord channel. I'll leave the link below if you would like to join. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and comment below. Interacting with my video tells YouTube that you like my content and that you want to see more of it, but it also tells the algorithm, that nasty little algorithm, it tells the algorithm that more people should see my videos. So make sure you do those things to help support my channel, and until next time, may all your dreams come true.